Quinn Costello has committed to my favorite program, the Michigan Wolverines, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, stock risers in the class of 2026. Chooses Michigan over Michigan State, Purdue, Minnesota, North Carolina, among other schools that had swooped in to his recruitment. Quinn is a power forward, shooting big. Stretch four is what he's described as. 6'10", 195 pounds, very thin. Has risen all the way up to 45th player per 24/7 in the class of 2026. Just not long ago, just over a year ago, he was basically an unheard of prospect outside the top 100, not even a three-star player as far as I know, not even starting on his high school team. And a year later, he is headed to the Big Ten in Dusty May as a top 50 recruit that quite a few big-time programs wanted. It wasn't just big-time programs that wanted Quinn Costello, Cart. It was you that wanted Quinn Costello, and I did have a little fun at your expense yesterday. I went back to one of our 16 Quinn Costello videos we've made this summer, and I went to the first one, the very first introductory discussion we had about this kid. And to my pleasant surprise, you adored him. Your eyes lit up. Dare I say there was some magic in that smile of yours. You used the word mine to describe
Yours.
Quinn Costello.
Yours.
To be clear, now he is
That's
yours, but at the time
yours.
in June, you described him as mine.
Yeah, so I thought he was mine, but he's yours.
I will say before I just hand the baton to you, um, I am happy with this commitment. If you followed my coverage of Quinn this summer, you know that I am not as big of a believer in his game as Carter's. I'm not going to come on here and flip my script on this. I still have questions about what Quinn will look like at Michigan and beyond, but I do think this is a good fit for him relative to some of the other options he could have chosen. And maybe most importantly, I do think that it's a win for Dusty May to get a kid that Tom Izzo and Matt Painter both did prioritize and want in this cycle. So throw it to you. You are the one of us that does believe in Quinn's game to a much higher rate than I do. So excited to hear what you think now that he's chosen Michigan.
Yeah, I think it'll be the most interesting part for Quinn Costello with me is I guess how Dusty's going to use him, right? Because I've seen him himself kind of refer to himself as more of a three, but also I feel like people look at him as more of a stretch four that can stretch the floor a little bit. I think I saw somewhere that I know he didn't have the best 3-point percentage on the UAA play, but he shot like 45% on like catch and shoot threes in UAA play, something like that, in court synergy. So this is a kid that Michigan gets that is a fringe five-star kid by some recruiting services. They get him over some of the other Big Ten schools that wanted him. And I think that, I think Costello's size and his shooting, if he's able to be consistent with his shooting, brings a really good dynamic to Michigan, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Dusty May uses him. But yeah, it's a really good ad for Michigan. I'm not gonna change my tune either. I've been higher on Quinn Costello than you this whole time, and I'm gonna stay the same on that. I do think that, you know, there is there's a lot to like about him. Now, obviously, I think you have some things as far as frame, physicality, maybe some questions like that. But I think the size, the athleticism, and the shooting, I think can translate. And if that translates, then you have yourself a pretty good player that, I think I pitched it to you as if Costello can be this stretch four next to a Merez, I think you really like that front court. Merez brings the physicality. Costello's a little bit more finesse. It's a little bit now. It's very much uh, contingent with him knocking down the 3-point shot, but he has shown the ability to do that. So it's a really good ad, really good win for Dusty.
Yeah, the win is the part that does excite me. I can give my updated thoughts to anyone who hasn't watched the 16 Quinn Costello videos we made
Yeah.
this summer.
Also, I'm gonna need hand up out of you.
Why?
Dick move on the clip. I've been a big Quinn Costello fan.
Was
You went back to the very first one. That's crazy. We've done 19 of them in the last week.
Well, did you not want in all of them you were equally praising of him? There was
Could
a
have left.
second one. So I actually considered two. A second one, I thought I chose the nicer one. The second one, You just said the word mine over and over again. You cut me off
Oh,
in the intro saying mine, mine, mine. So I didn't want to dunk on the fact that you were acting like Michigan State was going to get him at one point. I just wanted to make it clear that you are a big fan of Quinn Costello.
okay, that's fair. Fair. That's fair.
Okay.
No hand up needed.
All right, cool. Yeah, look, the part that matters most to me, and I said at the top, I want Dusty May to be able to go head to head with the big faces of this league and emerge victorious, not just in the portal, but in the traditional methods that his rival conference teams succeed and thrive in, right? It's one thing to be able to go offer a bigger paycheck to the Axel Lenneborgs and everybody on this team of the world. It's another thing to go get wins where Matt Painter and Tom Izzo like to get wins, right? Matt Painter and Tom Izzo will use the portal when needed. Matt Painter and Tom Izzo will tell you to your face that to build a championship program, you identify and you recruit and you develop and you retain and you make pros out of guys that got better as high school players into college players. Quinn Costello fits that mold. And I think there are questions about his skill set that I still have. There are questions about, what would he have looked like if he went to Michigan State or elsewhere? Because I do feel like one of the narratives coming out of this commitment from the Michigan State side at least is like, oh yeah, we didn't actually feel like this was all that good of a fit. Don't know why we hosted him for Grind Week. Um, I feel like that's just natural discussion when you see a recruitment trending elsewhere. And I agree with some of it. Like of all the Michigan State targets this year, I would say Quinn Costello is maybe the most finesse, the least quote unquote dog like type. Now, he can still put you on a poster. He had some moments like that this summer, and I think he does have an edge to his game. But just purely like culturally, how is this kid wired from what we've seen? This is not like a Maximo Adams. I'll go get 16 rebounds and keep rebounding and hunting, right? This is a skilled, skinny stretch four. It's been rare that Tom Izzo's done great things with that archetype. So in that sense, I kind of feel like both Michigan State and Michigan State's perception of this is like, yeah, this was a Michigan kid. Kind of makes sense. He was talking about academics, his whole recruitment, good cultural fit there. Um, it still matters to me because I still do think Tom Izzo really wanted him. I think Tom Izzo thought he swooped in at the right time this summer when he was at that first week of the camp and was like, I found a diamond in the rough. This is a guy that I can work with and turn into an all conference player in 4 years. Matt Painter tried to do the same. And even though there's stylistic differences between Michigan and Michigan State, Quinn Costello to me would have been a great Purdue kid. I mean, he would fit exactly the type of mold that Matt Painter's had big success with, right? Like a kind of 3 to 4 star kid who is clearly way better than people realize and just pops off the page. And with Matt Painter's development, becomes an all conference, all American level player by his upperclassman years. So, Purdue has other targets. They have other guys in a great class right now, but I don't think it's all that minor of a thing that Dusty May, Izzo, and Painter all at one time. And Brad Underwood tried to get in there too. He ultimately didn't get anywhere in this recruitment, but all these Big Ten contenders sort of threw their hats in the Quinn Costello ring at the same time. And Dusty May is the one who ended up building the momentum and winning the recruitment. And we say it all the time with Mark Pope videos. Doesn't matter how you recruit, doesn't matter your personality, doesn't matter if you can't close. This is a win for Dusty May's ability to close.
Yeah, 100%. And like, we talked about a few weeks ago, like when is the first domino gonna kind of fall, right?
Yep.
And this would be that domino. This would be, this is a top 50 kid. This is a kid that you win over other Big Ten programs, including Nico Medved. Free Nico, by the way. He's not fair that Minnesota got slighted in this one. But yeah, I think that, a lot of enticing things about why Quinn wanted to play for Michigan. Obviously, the education thing was massive. I guess I didn't even know this either. I think his dad either went to Harvard or played at Harvard or something along those lines, which he had a connection to Wojcik. So that was a big part of the Michigan State relationship as well. But yeah, in the end, it looks like he chose Michigan. And, if you're a 6'10" guy, if you're almost a 7 foot guy, don't think you can really argue with the front court pitch that has kind of happened early on in this Dusty May era. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, it's basketball is a very complicated game, but it's also simple in the fact that, if you're going to be this stretch four, you got to be able to actually do the stretch part, right?
Yeah.
And I believe in his jumper. I know that, the numbers have been up and down a little bit. But if you just want this guy to be a catch and shoot guy at 6'10", you just hope that he's able to put it all together. To your point, I think you pointed it out pretty correctly. Like the worst case scenario for him is a Sam Walters, right?
I am gonna stick with my original comp here. If you remember back to one of the very first videos we did, Kenny Kaminsky from Michigan State was my comp for him, and I think that tells you where I'm at on his game. Now I will say this. It wasn't meant as a diss the first time I said it because I really liked Kenny Kaminsky at Michigan State. He was there when I was in school, and Kenny Kaminsky shot 45% from three his freshman year at Michigan State. He ended up being kicked off the team for off the court stuff and went to the MAC and I think averaged like 9 a game as an upperclassman. Now, look, I think Quinn Costello is better, largely because Quinn Costello is bigger. Kenny Kaminsky was a 6'7" kid when he committed to Michigan State, ended up being listed as 6'8" at Michigan State. If Kenny Kaminsky was 6'10" coming in, I think you see a different career from him. So, but that's sort of what I'm expecting, to be honest. I'm expecting a 6'10" quote unquote power forward that is on the court to hunt threes. That's all I'm expecting. And if he makes 40% of them, there's a role on that. Now, what I would say is this: Quinn can move better. Quinn can put the ball on the floor better. He does some things that are more wing oriented. Even you could envision him playing the three a little bit. There are a bunch of clips from this summer of him getting out in transition and, like I said, putting people on a poster. So, like, Kenny Kaminsky wasn't doing that, right? He was just running around shooting threes. He shot like 6 threes a game, I want to say, at Ohio one year. Um, I think Quinn has more to him than that. But I think this is the archetype. Like if you play Quinn Costello at the four, I think you got to understand you're not playing a guy that can rebound, right? What's he going to do? He's got to put on serious strength, and he's never going to be a plus rebounder in the Big Ten. So his offense better be really, really good. I mean, Quinn doesn't rim protect, he doesn't rebound. I don't know what he's going to be defensively. His offense better pop if you're going to play him in a big role at the four at Michigan, or maybe you play him at the three, right? You really could. You could go jumbo super huge and play him next to a couple more traditional bigs. But to me, that raises some defensive questions too. Look, it's a good get. I think we'll see what Dusty May can do developmentally here. I do think he'll be a rotation player in year one. Um, I also think a lot of moving parts here. Like, does the Michigan front court return Merez and Mara and Cordell next year? Do they lose one of those guys? Are there minutes that open up for him or not? I don't know. I think Dusty would say on paper he hopes he brings everyone back. And Quinn is kind of in a bench 10 minutes a game role, at least in year one. But then it begs the question, like, what did Quinn sign up for that? Is that what he's happy with? So we're gonna have to watch this one throughout the years. But I believe in the offense at minimum, right? I believe he's a good shooter. I know you mentioned the shooting numbers have gone up and down. Um, I think the shots for real, even if they've gone up and down. So you can work with that.
Yeah, last two things for me. I don't know why it's taking me this long to come up with this because I think his best case scenario is one of my favorite underrated Big Ten players of all time,
Who?
Jake Layman.
Yeah, okay. I don't hate that.
Athlete, guy that I think Jake Layman was close to like a 40% three-point shooter, at least like 35% probably, if I'm just guessing off the top of my head. 6'10", solid, okay rebounder, probably like 4 rebounds a game, something like that. But plus athlete, 6'10". I think that'd be a real good case scenario for him. And then last but certainly not least, now that I've gotten everything out of the way on this one, I want it very much known that Quinn Costello is an all-time headshot.
Yeah, go talk through that if you'd like. Go ahead.
So what is that face? Why does he do that?
Got the face of an emu.
Like what is that?
Just his face.
But is he making that face or is
No,
that like just
that's his
that's
face.
oh okay, he was given that.
And it's to be clear, it's my face. My face. And you said you called that face an all-time Michigan State face. That was your exact words 3 months ago.
Did I say Michigan State
That
face?
was yeah, that was in the clip I didn't
A
use.
bad read by me. That's an all-time. That first of all, that's not even our schools. That's an all-time Northwestern face.
Yeah, it's got a little John Sherna face to him. Also a
He
good comp
belong.
for
Honestly, he
Racing Nut.
belongs at Clarkson. Also, good pull here. Don't say we don't got knowledge. We got John Sherna, Jake Lehman pulls on this video.
Yeah, this has been solid for sure. Go in a little crystal ball for me. What does his career look like from start to finish in college? Because this is one of the most wide range of outcomes, guys, in this class to me. Like I simultaneously think there's a world where he comes in, is a rotation player right away, like a sixth man type. Year two pops off the charts, is a breakout star, and ends up in the NBA by his junior year. I think that is possible. I simultaneously believe he gets to Michigan, he's completely overwhelmed, he doesn't play. He transfers to SMU. He has a couple iffy years at SMU. He transfers to Tulane and we never hear from him again. Like I think it's all on the table for Quinn Costello. So you got to kind of take the situation of Michigan into consideration as you do this exercise. But give me the Carter crystal ball. What does his college career look like from start to finish?
I think he's a guy that does have a role his freshman season. Um, I think he does end up like even sticking it out and end up being like probably a 20-minute-ish a game second year guy. I think he ends up playing all four though. I think he ends up playing all four, and that's actually good for Michigan. Like I feel like NIL and stuff keep him around, and he's not in a rush to be like a second round draft pick.
Okay. Do you think like all conference player at some point in his best year?
Yeah, I think that's possible.
I think if he's at Michigan his whole career, I think he will end up being an all conference player by the time it's done. I do. Um, if he's not at Michigan his whole career, to me, that means it didn't work and we go elsewhere. I don't know which one is more likely. It might be 50-50 in my mind. But man, also, can we just step back broadly and say this? Dusty, the size that he's building on this roster is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you just go through the guys that are in theory on next year's team. Mara could be back at 7'3". Marcus Moeller could be back next year at 7'4", I believe, the freshman.
Mhm.
Malik Cordell, 7'2", could be on the roster. Merez back at 6'9". This kid's 6'10". I mean, that's a third of your roster is that big. Like this is not what I expected when Michigan hired Dusty May, and I don't know what to think this is gonna look like.
Little man likes big man.
Little man likes big man for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Um, congrats to me. Can I say that?
Yeah, sure. I honestly I think you should be a little happier.
I'm pretty happy.
Okay.
I'm trying my best to hold myself accountable and be real here and be honest. I don't want to flip and celebrate a guy that I've been not a fan of this whole cycle. So
Fair.
but I will celebrate beating Tom Izzo and Matt Painter and you at all times.
Okay. Good on you.